Well, the first thing I'd like to do is start with an apology. Hypha Metrics is a technology startup. I believe I'm legally required to be wearing a t-shirt with a hoodie zip up. So if you'll pardon me for being out of uniform, this is Washington, D.C., so I'm going with the button-down shirt. I'd also like to acknowledge my co-authors, Jeff Shan-Lubbers, Mary Alice Postel, and Joanna Giroux. So thanks to the organizers for making sure everyone read the papers. So I am going to skip over a lot of background information here. I'll sum it to what is it that we're doing. Our tech startup group has started a hardware that is meant to measure cross-media measurement in the home. And so we've come up with a very interesting way of doing that, which involves using AI and machine learning to analyze what's actually hitting the TV screen. Fascinating stuff. I could talk all day about that. We also include a Wi-Fi router within our hardware to measure in-home internet usage for connected devices. That's also fascinating. I could probably spend a week talking about that information. But in reality, we're also focused in measuring the individuals within the home and how they interact with these technologies and the media. And that's what motivated me to submit to this particular workshop. So I'm really just going to focus on how do we measure persons within the home. Our objective is to really measure all persons, all devices within a single home. So, and that's not currently happening, or it doesn't happen well. You kind of have one panel that collects information from laptops and PCs. You have another one that focuses on mobile. It's very rare that there is within a single home that you're getting to have a single source look at all of the devices, all of the persons together, and kind of get that multi-layered level of data. And there's a lot of data there. So that's our goal and objective, but a key element to that is measuring the persons within that. And that's really where our, as at least when it pertains to this particular workshop, what is it that we're doing that's really interesting about using sensors in our data collection? And so the traditional method or the legacy method for measuring persons' exposure to video in television has been a one-size-fits-all active-only approach. You have to push a button, whether it's on a remote control or walking up to a meter and saying, I'm here, I'm watching this television, and in theory, when you leave the room, you're also supposed to push that button again and log out. So we know in the modern technology experience, not a lot of people expect to have to do so much activity or respondent burden to do that. They really want something, why do I have to do this particular activity to participate in it? And our thesis is if we can lower respondent burden, there's lots of benefits to that. Better data collection, better participation, less attrition. And so that's really our goal. And so our technology group, we have a terrific CTO who invented this particular approach of not only, yes, we have a button pushing as a backstop. It really can be used as a backstop to our passive methods, but in reality, we want to utilize the activity that persons already use in their day-to-day lives. So which is fairly common practice, if someone carries a mobile phone from room to room to room where the TVs are at or their devices are at, I don't need to motivate them to do an activity that they're not already doing. So that's really what we're trying to do is have them carry that mobile phone with an app that is in that device, and that app acts a lot, is a sonar-like experience. The meter can sense distance between that device and the television set, and that's how we can tell whether someone's watching a TV in the living room or when they pick up and leave and go to another room. So that's really, we're using that passive methodology, we're using the sensor data with that, and then we have a second methodology for passive detection, which is if someone doesn't own a device, or in some households, the rule is you plug in your phone and you leave it in the kitchen. You don't carry your phone with you room to room to room for kids and teens. So in that case, we do have a Bluetooth beacon that we can provide those people, and that is another method that allows them to be detected without having to push buttons. It's completely passive. They just carry it with them. So we had several research questions. One was, would they actually carry the device? Validation of the sensor data, and then also the panelist communication. Could we make that experience even better? Because we are really in alpha and beta testing mode. We are developing our methodology hand over fist and trying to do it very rapidly. So we learn very quickly. So one of those methods on the data validation was to use a very tried and true method, which is a coincidental phone call. It's a very brief phone call, 1 to 2 minutes on average. And the objective is to find out when the phone rang, who's home, what TVs are on, what were you doing in relation to that TV set. And then our key performance indicator is, assuming that what they tell us on the phone is the source of truth, we would then compare what was the meter data collecting in that very moment. And so if we had, yes, Chuck is watching the living room television set, and that's what they told us on the phone, if the meter data said, yes, that TV's on and Chuck's registered with that TV, that would be a match. That would be a yes, yes. Or it might be Chuck's not watching that TV set, that TV set's not on. If the meter data agreed with that, that would be a no, no. That would be our match process. And from that, our results, and here are the actual questions. They went very quickly. Oops, and let me go back one. So overall, the blue line is the one that we really focused in on. We checked, was the meter collecting what people are actually watching well? Yes, the AI and the machine learning really helped identify what people are watching, but the blue line indicates that we had a good, and this is very early stage for us. This was last year. We've continued to develop this. But in the 80s, essentially, that match rate of, yes, a person's watching and when they said that they were. And one of the things that we learned from this study from a qualitative standpoint is sometimes people would think we're calling to motivate them to turn on the TV and start watching. Or like, we had to kind of really adjust expectations, say, no, we don't care. We just want to know, is our equipment working well? We also were concerned about, does a type, the mode of identification, active versus passive, does it in any way change what people are watching, or did it affect that? And there was no statistical difference in what kind of genre of program they were watching or distribution between gender. It was very consistent whether they're using an active mode or a passive mode. And then finally, one of our final things is that we really wanted to look at what were the cognitive standpoint. And this is where we really realized that early on, we thought it would be obvious. Anyone would want to be passively measured, but that's because we understood what a huge pain in the ass it is to log in and out, pushing buttons and using remotes. We didn't really realize when you first recruit someone, unless they've participated previously, they don't immediately know that. So it actually took us a while to realize, oh, we have to make a case. Why is this less effort for you? And once we realized we need to train them a little bit differently, give them a better explanation of the value proposition, that why you'd want to do that. And I'll wrap up with the conclusions. We found out lots of interesting things in it, and I'd rather get to the discussion on that. And I'll throw out as a discussion topic, one of the reasons why we've been asking questions about the incentives on some of these other terrific papers and apps is really realizing there is a mode effect to mobile devices. If you're trying to maximize someone's usage, I would bring up the idea of Malcolm Gladwell's from the tipping point stickiness factor. Mobile devices and apps can give you a terrific immediate redemption capabilities for incentives that is built into that. And I'll spend a little bit of time talking more about that, or maybe I'll do that in the sixth mass workshop if I get accepted, is do a deep dive on how mobile devices and incentives can be tied together in a very dynamic method. So I'll pause there for questions.